One of my favorite parts about being an MMA fan is the massive meme culture that exists throughout the fandom. I think in large part this is due to the UFC and MMA in general not really being mainstream for so long. A lot of us were forced to go to random forums on the internet. And one of the most prominent forms of humor, of course, on the internet are memes. I think that UFC fans come up with some of the funniest shit ever, and just to give the fighters their due real quick, they do provide us with good material, but the quickness that fans will take something a fighter said and almost uniformly make it a meme that, as you'll see on this tier list, can last literal decades is not something I see in other sports. Now, to be fair, I don't watch other sports, okay, but still MMA fans are funnier than any other sports fans. Either way, in this video, we are going to be ranking some of the best fighter memes that I could come up with on a tier list. And first of all, shout out to even Steven Seagal, a member from chat, for this idea. Now, I've came up with 11 of my favorite fighter memes. For this one, I was able to think of a few more. Wasn't sure how I would rank them compared to these ones, and thought that if you guys in the comments could come up with enough memes that I had forgotten about or missed, I could do a part 2 or even a part 3 of this video. I've got no real criteria for this one, basically like how much it made me laugh, the longevity of the meme, and also I guess a little bit of thought going into do they cross over generations of fans? So like memes that, while might have been from 15 years ago, are they known by the fan base of today? So without further ado, let's get into the memes. Okay, the first one up on this tier list and going into D tier is Aljamain Oscar-winning performance, Sterling.
Look at this dude. Wait till you see the. No, 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 no.
Yeah, there you go. Give me sand. Give me sand.
Look at the top of his head.
A few minutes later.
And the Oscar goes to...
And new UFC bantamweight champion of the world, Aljamain Funkmaster Sterling.
Let me tell you what was going on. You were behind on 1 point on 2 of the judges' scorecards, and you were ahead on another one.
What?
How do you feel about this? What does it feel like right now?
Everything I worked for, man, like to this point, and then to have the fight go like that. I thought the fight was very close.
What?
I thought I was down 2 rounds.
What the fuck?
And that's not the way I wanted to win. That's not the way I envisioned this. I was trying to continue even being all up like that, but I was in bad shape, and it would have just been ego taking over just to get further punishment. So
A few moments later.
Okay, now this meme obviously came from Aljamain Sterling winning the title off Petr Yan via disqualification in a fight that he was getting beaten pretty badly, right? Taken down at will, got knocked down. He was just getting pieced up in general. To be quite frank, he was losing in every aspect of MMA, and the fight was completely snowballing out of control for Aljamain Sterling. Like, it was just getting worse and worse as the fight went on. When he was maybe, blessed with the best financial gift of all time, just fell right into his lap via the big knee to the head. Okay, now I'm not even making a value judgment on the decision that Aljamain Sterling made to take this DQ victory. However, it was, you cannot look me in the eyes, okay, with a straight face if you have an honest bone in your body and tell me that he wasn't acting. You can't take this position, okay? We watched him walk out of the octagon on his own 2 feet faster after he got brutally KO'd by Marlon Moraes. He was stiff, out cold on the canvas, dabbing uncontrollably, and he still got out of there faster than he even got off the mat. He was still rolling around in the cage. And he was, when he fought Marlon Moraes, he was already in the back getting checked out, right? I've never seen a knee to the head cause someone to get sand in their eyes from an imaginary and invisible Tony Ferguson. They're rolling around all of it, dude. Very clearly played up, right? I've made I've had multiple concussions with blows that were harder than that, and none of those side effects were present. Okay, I'm sure many of you have had concussions as well, and I never got fucking sand in my eyes. Okay, never a single time. Now again, I'm not judging his decision to take the belt. Petr Yan committed a foul, and that is not Aljamain Sterling's fault. Now, along with myself, the vast majority of the fan base noticed this exaggerated acting performance in what led to Aljamain getting completely bombarded with comments about the Oscars that you can still find in his comment section today. This meme has completely stuck, and almost every time Aljamain Sterling's championship reign gets brought up, as does the Oscar-winning performance that we got that godforsaken night of UFC 259. Now, that night wasn't all bad, okay? Jan Blachowicz beat Israel Adesanya 4 rounds to 1 on the feet as well as on the ground, right? Now, honestly, anytime Aljo goes on about his loss to Sean O'Malley, I think much of the same thing. Being able to make excuses the way he does, with a straight face, okay, is wild. He must have actually taken up acting lessons after finding out that he had indeed a second passion while inside the cage at UFC 259. Either way, moving on to the next fighter meme, or meme from a fighter, whatever, to get ranked on this tier list. Going into D tier is 30% Kamaru Usman. Okay.
Listen, I fought this fight sitting at about 30%. Everybody knows what I'm capable of. That was 30% right there, and I still dominated a tough so-called Viking. Dominated him, and that was at 30%.
Why are you gay?
30% begs the question. Why only 30%?
I would like to know how he's measuring this. Where is this machine that measures, oh, the output was only 30% tonight?
I didn't love that fight, by the way. Yeah, he's a tough guy. Yeah, he can impose his will. But then you don't jump up and start talking smack like you just knocked somebody out or something. What if you're on a pay-per-view? You use 60%? It's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard somebody say. And you're getting booed out of the arena on top of it, so.
Seem to take it, but I just wanted to know if A, you regret saying it, and B, do you want to clear that up, what you meant to say?
A few minutes later.
I am what I am. I don't regret anything. If it wasn't for there's a blessing in everything that happens to us, and yes, of course, it's getting kind of old.
Yeah.
Because every time you look at any one of my pictures, comments, or anything like that, all fans seem to want to talk about it. It's 30%, 30%, 30%. So after that, they said, well, will you go 60% next time? So, well, you can expect me to try to go way more than 30% this next fight. That's for sure.
Well, kudos on handling.
Okay. Dude, he gave us this meme about 6 years ago after a fight with Emil Meek where he cruised his way to a boring decision, as was par for the course for Kamaru Usman at that time, and to be quite honest, a few more fights to come. And in his post-fight interview with Paul Felder, he made these ridiculous remarks about how he was only at 30%, or he was only fighting to 30% of his ability, or something along those lines. I'm playing the clip for you anyways, it doesn't fucking matter. I think this is just a ridiculous thing to say, okay? Regardless of performance, but maybe had he gotten a brutal KO or a submission or just, something along those lines, it would have been a little bit more understandable, right? Still cringe, but maybe just a little bit more reasonable. I wasn't the only one that felt this way, however, as UFC president Dana White kind of shat all over Usman and his post-fight speech in an interview with Michael Bisping. And then you see Usman speak to Ariel Helwani, and like he says here in this interview, he couldn't look anywhere without seeing the 30% meme. And it's funny because this was like very shortly after. This continued on to this day. I mean, you will still see 30% comments on Kamaru Usman's posts and things like that. It's fucking hilarious. But he said he couldn't look anywhere without seeing something to do with 30%. And like it followed him for years to come. I just wish that rather than just competing to 30% of your ability in the cage, Usman would put that whole 30% philosophy to the amount of time that he speaks. I mean, holy fucking Christ. To answer that one simple question from Ariel Helwani took him over 3.5 minutes. I literally sped it up by 16 times to get the answer faster for you guys, because I'm not joking. It was over 3.5 minutes. And something else he could put that 30% philosophy to is the amount of personalities he has at one time. Either way, dude, let's move on to the next fighter meme to get put into D tier, and that is gonna be still my boy, Chris Weidman. Okay.
And I'm sure you will come back and be better than ever, and it was a pleasure and an honor to call your fights, including this one tonight. Thank you very much, sir.
And everybody, thank you. And this is still my boy.
Okay, still my boy. This meme came because, in my opinion, the cringe levels, were just so fucking high, right? You could see the disbelief mixed with the embarrassment all over Chris Weidman's face while his dad screamed into that microphone in front of an entire fucking arena. Okay, Chris Weidman, his face was already red. He had just had the shit beaten out of him, and then his face went to like red, dude, you know, like fucking real red. Okay, after, you know, it's crazy. Oh, that would be so bad. After Chris Weidman brutally eye-poked Bruno Silva to a TKO victory somehow, in the comment sections of that interview, I saw comments regarding this meme. This one's got crazy longevity, dude. This was a long time ago. I could not imagine, dude. I could not imagine. It's a nice gesture and all, but holy fuck, what a way to add insult to injury. And, you know, I tell you what, if my dad did some shit like this, bro, he's never coming to another one of my fights ever again, okay? Speaking of dads, dude, this next fighter wishes he had one, okay?
Mine was strong. You made mine really strong. Hanging with the boys. Hanging with the boys. Hanging with the boys. Hanging with the boys.
Okay, Cody hanging with the boys. Garbrandt. All right, dude. Okay. I don't even need to explain this one all that much, if I'm being honest. I mean, this action, this whatever he is doing when he's doing this, right, is completely expected from a guy who legitimately thought that Paddy Pimblett went to fucking Hogwarts.
Highlight Paddy the Baddie, you know? I like this dude. I mean, I thought that his fight was entertaining. You know, he was almost hurt. He says he's a sorcerer. They don't get knocked out.
Okay, I don't want to shit on him too hard. This guy's given us entertainment beyond measure, but I will say many of those instances are the epitome of the archetype of and the, you know, stereotype of fatherless rage. Okay, so thank you, Cody No Dad Garbrandt, for the countless laughs, buddy. I greatly appreciate it. Either way, dude, moving on to the next fighter to get ranked on this tier list for their meme, going into C tier as well. I am not impressed by your performance. George St. Pierre. Okay.
All right, here's George. I'm very glad you won that fight, Matt, but I'm not impressed by your performance, and I look forward to fight you in the near future.
Okay, I'm having troubles getting him to sit nicely. There we go. All right. Now, I am Canadian after all, and George St. Pierre is a true Canadian hero, so that might have been why I thought of this one over some others, right? There's probably some funnier memes that could have gone on this list, but who fucking cares? Tell me in the comments and I'll do another one. It's just funny seeing how awkward he is trying to trash talk. And I'm not even saying that's a bad thing, by the way, right? He's a very respectful human being. But honestly, it was pretty savage in like the most polite way possible. George even said after the fact that he felt ashamed and that he was being disrespectful and rude and taking away from Matt Hughes' moment, which is just so fucking George of him, you know? So wholesome. But 14 years later, and I feel like most fans, even newer fans, know about this meme, which is what I was talking about earlier. Like, it crosses, I just dropped some shit, dude, crosses generation, okay, generations. Something else that I think is funny about this one is that later on in his career, when he was to fight Michael Bisping, you could tell he was trying to get a little more active with the trash talk, and all we got was like, are you intoxicated, and are you crazy in your head, man, are you okay, and, you know, water is wet, fire burn, and I'm gonna beat Michael, like shit like that, right? 8 years later, he could speak English way better than he could 8 years prior. And that one line to Matt Hughes still is like the best that he has to offer, period, when it comes to trash talk, okay? Either way, moving on to the next fighter meme to get put into C tier as well, and that is going to be horse meat over him, okay?
Alistair, what are you making?
Beef. I like beef. Beef makes you strong. So cow beef, horse beef,
But you eat horse meat too?
You don't like that?
You know, I don't think I've ever
Horse is
had
very
horse
good
meat.
protein. Better than beef.
If you eat like 6 or 7 times a day, you'll get big.
You get big. No doubt.
Carl Alistair Overeem, eating the fallen horses from his Khalasar to become the biggest, strongest warrior in the land. Not to mention the insane amount of steroids he was on, okay? Jesus fucking Christ. Up until this dude showed up, we never saw anyone look even comparable to Brock Lesnar. Then here comes fucking Overeem, eating horse steak, looking as big as Brock Lesnar, just with less body fat. I mean, Brock is juiced for this fight. I mean, Brock was always juiced, okay? Most likely, at least. But look how shredded Alistair is compared to him. I mean, it's fucking insane, while maintaining that level of size. This meme came from an infamous interview where he was in his kitchen, okay, which was, I just have to point this out. I'm not making fun of him, but this is like the smallest fucking kitchen I've ever seen in my life. This thing's got one element, right, that he's cooking his steak on, and he's got his potatoes on the other side steaming, or sitting there after they were steaming, I guess, keeping them warm, with like his jacket draped over top. It's weird, okay? I'm not shitting on him, but very tiny kitchen, right? But either way, okay? An interview in that kitchen and at his dining room table with some old lady, and she was, for the most part, asking him questions about his diet and how he got so big and all the rest of it, which is where the horse meat came from. He explained that he eats horse meat as it is good protein. Also went on to tell us how he eats about 8 meals a day. Again, leaving out the massive cycles he was on. Either way, this meme still gets used today. It's fucking hilarious. And also an honorable mention to one more meme that good old Alistair gave us.
Can't say about the fight. I believe when I punched him and he went down, I followed him, I got him in a guillotine choke, and I clearly felt the tap.
Either way, moving on to B tier, okay? The first fighter meme to go into B tier is gonna be Yoel, Soldier of God, Romero, okay?
Hey, Florida! Listen, people, listen. What happened to you, USA? What happened to you? What's going on? You forget for the best of the world. The name is Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
What happened to you? Wake up, USA. Go back for you, go for Jesus. Don't forget Jesus, people. What's going on? You forget. Don't forget Jesus, people.
Good morning.
Morning to you.
Why are you gay?
Who says I'm gay?
You are gay.
This meme is awesome because I didn't even have to come up with a name for it or anything like that. I was thinking at first like Yoel the Crusader, but then I remembered, oh yeah, dude, he's the soldier of God. Okay. Now I think some people are still torn on what he said that day. Like, no, forget Jesus. But I'm pretty fucking positive that he said exactly what a lot of us think he said. Earlier in the speech, he said the word forget perfectly. Okay, which makes this shit so much funnier. He can feign ignorance of the English language, which, by the way, is exactly what he did in an interview where he allegedly clarified, quote unquote, what he said. He said that it was because his English wasn't good and now he knows how to say forget when he said it perfectly fine seconds before the first time. He said, don't forget. And then he said, no, forget Jesus. There's no fucking way, dude. Either way, he just gets away with it, which is amazing. Also, dude, I'll tell you what. Yoel Romero was ahead of his time, okay? Now, I want to clarify something myself. I am not religious, but I am sick of this shit in schools today. This was 8 years ago. He tried to covertly sound the alarm, and maybe if more people listened, we wouldn't have lessons teaching kids about being fucking trans, okay? And for the progressive people that for whatever reason clicked on this video, do not gaslight me and say that it doesn't happen, okay? It does, at least where I'm at. I've got kids in school. Also, don't defend your position by pretending that it doesn't happen. Don't be a fucking coward. Because if I then tell you it's happening, you would follow up with, well, who cares what's wrong with that anyways, right? Don't be a coward and pretend it isn't happening. Defend your positions, all right? That was a bit of a tangent. I apologize. Shit makes me mad. Regardless, still one of my favorite fighter memes of all time. when I was clipping it for this video earlier, it was having me in stitches, okay? Holds up 8 years later. Yoel, the soldier of God. Primero. Moving on. I said that like a fucking Brazilian, okay? To the next fighter meme to get put into B tier. This one's going to piss some people off. Both these B tier ones are going to maybe get me in a bit of trouble. Tyrone Black Lives Matter Woodley.
I'm just excited that Black Lives Matter. I'm just really excited that Black Lives Matter. I feel like, a victory here just really shows how much Black Lives Matter. Just that Black Lives Matter. No, I just think that Black Lives Matter. No, I wasn't surprised, especially since Black Lives Matter. I just hope they realize Black Lives Matter. I like your style, and I definitely realize that Black Lives Matter. Just the fact that Black Lives Matter, I think it's pretty simple.
Tyron, sorry, okay? Jesus fucking Christ. I can't imagine how awkward this must have been for the journalists. Except for that progressive weirdo Brett Okamoto, who basically insinuated that Colby Covington is like a good substitute for whatever misguided anger Tyron has towards whatever the fuck it is he's mad at, right? He comes in there decked out in BLM gear with a hat that says, "Make racists catch a fade again." Meanwhile, the whole riots and shit that were going on were over police issues. So either way, look, this one bothered me at first, but it ended up making it more funny later on, and I'll get to that in a minute. But this was in the immediate aftermath, basically, not even a month after the shooting of one Jacob Blake, which, by the way, was a completely justified police shooting, okay? That was miscovered by the media in a way that led to the burning of immigrant car dealerships, among other fucking businesses, okay? So, not to mention all the nonsense that's been exposed about this organization is what makes this all the more funny, right? What Woodley just bought all this gear, supported them financially, so the leaders could buy mansions in the hills and do nothing with their community and then get found out years later, even though, people on this side were maybe trying to sound the alarms on that long before, right? One of these big activists, I just got busted for a big fucking fentanyl, like, Jesus Christ, okay? Then the cherry on top was him getting his ass beat by Colby Covington, which by the way, I'm not even a fan of Colby Covington, but he was a guy who, at the very least at this time, had been painted as like this like evil, racist white man, despite him, pardon me, not really saying anything racist, right? People will point to the comments about Brazil while ignoring that Brazil is a nation, not a race of people, and also ignoring that the majority of people are white, okay? Either fucking way, dude. Let's get to A tier. Now, the first fighter meme to go into A tier, this is personally actually my favorite one, okay? Brian the Eagle Ortega, okay?
Right here. Right here.
Hey, gotcha. Hey, what up, bro?
I've seen the term rebirth on your Instagram consistently. I wanted to know if you could just give us the story behind that.
I'm glad you asked. The rebirth. The rebirth is a nature process that the ego goes through. And for those who don't know, what the ego does is the ego lives for 70 years.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
At the 40-year mark, the ego loses the sharpness of its beak, the feathers aren't as good, and its talons are weak. So it has a choice.
Years ago, Coach James Lurson gave Brian Ortega a choice.
The choice is to die, keep doing what you're doing, living the way you are, or isolate yourself way up in the mountains, smash your beak against a rock till it breaks. What? Wait till it grows back, then pluck your talons out, and then pluck your feathers out. What the fuck? And then stay in isolation till everything grows back. And then when that process is done, then the ego can live the next 30 years of its life. And that process in nature is called the rebirth for the ego. And that's something similar that I felt that I went through in my personal life, where I had to sit in isolation and face myself in a way that I never had before. And I had to just plug away and just be alone for a long time. And now I'm here.
I can obviously see the emotion when you're talking about
this, like I said, this is my personal favorite. It's not even just the Eagle thing, but how happy Brian was to get asked about it. Like the, I'm glad you asked. Followed up by a completely false nature lesson that either every journalist was too stupid to know is completely fucking wrong, or none of them wanted to burst his bubble and tell him he was just spewing some random bullshit story that got spread on an email chain to like single old ladies who have hope, faith, love all over their fucking house, right? First of all, an eagle doesn't live to 70. It's more like half of that, at least in the wild. And no, there isn't any species of eagle that does live that long. Usually, because they get ripped apart by other fucking eagles. Okay, before I found a dead one, dude, on an island that is in the lake that I live on. I went and by boat went to this island and found an eagle carcass with its entire chest cavity ripped out. Everything in there was gone. Now, there's only one thing capable of doing that to an eagle, another fucking eagle, right? But either way. Also, they can't survive, Brian, without their beaks, their talons, or their feathers. You want to know why, Brian, dude? Because they need them to eat. All of them. They're all both necessary and sufficient to the eagle's survival. They can't survive without one of them. If they don't have feathers, they can't fly to catch their prey. If they don't have a beak, they can't eat their fucking prey, dude. If they don't have talons, they can't catch their prey. It's insane to me. Insane. I wonder if Brian Ortega was just like having nightmares from the Volk and the Holloway fights where he was just like the little youth or whatever eagle and the mature ones were just fucking him up. I mean, he's had his beak broken for sure a few times. But to be quite honest, the only reason that this was as funny as it was is because of the fact that it was all incorrect. If this was a true story Brian Ortega was telling us, it wouldn't be a meme. It's just, it makes it so much funnier. But, something else that makes it funnier too is that no one had the heart to tell him. No training partner, no family, no friends were like, hey, Brian, you should maybe stop telling that story because it's not fucking true. You're telling me no one in this guy's circle thought that's kind of a cool story. Maybe I should look that up, and realized immediately that that's not what happens, Fucking hell. Also, dude, this is the same Brian Ortega that walked out in full Purge theme mask and everything, the big fucking right, over a noisy neighbor. And then a couple years later, the guy's acting like an elder at a fucking powwow. I mean, unbelievable, okay? Either way, moving on to the next fighter meme to get ranked, going into A tier, and that is On Paper, or Anthony On Paper Smith, okay?
With your performance specifically in the John fight?
I just didn't show up, and John Jones is beatable. He's very beatable. I'm going to get roasted online for this, but he's not that good.
Stop it. Get some help.
That's an interesting quote. Yeah,
he's pretty fucking good.
He might be the
not individually. Like, if you take his individual skill sets and you take them away, each one of those things are not a problem. If you take his boxing and just, like, if John and I were to just box, I don't think he's the GOAT. Like, I think we have a very competitive striking match.
Sorry, retarded.
We're just doing no-gi jiu-jitsu. Like, I don't think John Jones beats me in a jiu-jitsu match.
Jeez, didn't you hear me a second ago? I'm retarded.
That's why they get so angry about it. If I show up and I'm on point and I'm mentally where I need to be, I'll beat them all. I would step in the fire with him, and he knows that. Like, is Ankalaev going to stand in the pocket and trade with Alex Pereira and really play that game? Probably not.
This is another one of my favorite ones. And maybe this is a bit of recency bias, right? Both of these ones in A tier are from like the last few years. But I think that these are going to be some memes with severe longevity, okay? Anthony On Paper Smith, is one that the vast majority of MMA fans will know because the delusion of Anthony Smith has been spread far and wide by many creators, right? The best part about it was how many times he doubled down on his delusion regarding different fighters that would absolutely destroy Anthony Smith, right? Like, the On Paper meme comes from Anthony Smith's weird habit of acting like analyzing fights is purely on paper, and you can just take skills and attributes away from fighters as easy as the stroke of a pen. I believe the first example of him doing this was the whole John Jones incident where Anthony Smith was doing an interview with Luke Nasrallah. I mean Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell, where he was asked about his fight with John Jones, among many other things. But you know, he went on about how just fucking insane. I think Anthony Smith tries to over intellectualize everything, in my opinion, right? So he appears to be much more intelligent than he actually is. And then he's got the glasses, the voice, the cadence of speech, all that shit kind of fit that role. And this is just what we end up getting. And I think that's why he's gotten the analyst job that he's gotten, because of that exact thing. Which, I mean, credit to him, I guess, but it ends up, when you just speak for the sake of speaking, so you sound intelligent, you end up either saying nothing or you come across like a fucking idiot. Okay, that's just what happens. He's done this multiple times as well, right? Like I mentioned earlier, multiple fighters. Alex Pereira, he makes excuses for his losses, acting like the rest of the division was ducking him, and then he went on to get dominated by a middleweight and Roman Dolidze. I mean, there's too many examples to go over, but it's kind of like an example of this, I guess, would be, well, you know, if John Jones was actually only 6'1", and even though we compete in mixed martial arts, if you take away his ability to kick and grapple, and we just have a pure boxing match, I actually think that's I think I beat him. I think that would be a competitive striking match if you know, when you take away all his best attributes, lock me in a cage with him. On paper, I think I win that fight. On paper, I am the most skilled fighter on the planet. If you just ignore that I'm old and have taken a ton of damage and haven't gotten a decent win in years, and you know, in the gym, my training partners hate me right now because I just absolutely bring it. It's fucking insane, dude. I understand fighters being delusional to an extent, okay? Right? Their confidence needs to be unwavering to an extent. However, you also need to acknowledge your shortcomings, or holes, as Kevin Lee would say it. Damn, dude. You know what? I just realized this. Maybe Kevin Lee was going to Diddy parties as well. Either way, Anthony Smith would rather construct an on-paper argument rather than acknowledge he's just not that good anymore, okay? Either way. Moving on to the S-tier meme. That is Julian, let me bang, bro. Lane. Okay.
Somebody's ass in this house, and I'll get sent home.
Well, that's a bad decision.
Playing, dog, right now. Julian, man, chill out, man.
I know, it's not worth it.
Chill, man. It's not worth it, bro. I'm in for my. Straight now, dog.
Julian.
Straight up. Come on, dog.
Don't touch me.
Straight up. I'll touch you all I want, bro.
Julian, why are you gay?
Who says I'm gay?
You are gay.
I'll let you do it in the morning. You are people. Stop. Hey, stop. You are people. Stop.
Dude, chill out. Let go, bro. Dude, keep hold me, bro. Bang, man. I want to do that, man. Let me bang, bro.
I do.
I do. Let me bang,
I
man.
do let you bang. Hey.
Let me bang again, man.
Why are you gay?
Let me bang again. Let me bang. Let me bang, man.
This, I don't even know what the fuck to say about this one, dude. This is one of the best moments of all time in MMA, period. Let alone fuck the UFC. This is one of the most memorable moments of all time in MMA history. Julian Lane crying, drunk, smashing bottles, trying to fight with dudes. He gets separated and then he starts crying because he wants to bang, bro. It sounds like the gayest fucking argument I've ever heard in my life. Let me bang, bro. Just let me bang. And then the guy's like, I do let you bang, bro. Let me bang again, dude. It sounds like they were just fucking. And now Julian's ready to go again, like he ate a fucking Blue Chew or something. You know what? He does kind of look like Jesse on Fire if he had a mohawk. Maybe he has been dipping into those Blue Chews. But listen, it's just, I don't even know what else. I bet you that the vast majority, 90% of MMA fans, whether they became a fan last year or they became a fan 20 years ago, know this fucking meme. And it's absolutely cross generations. It has absolutely got crazy longevity. One of the funniest moments in the Ultimate Fighter history, but you know, the UFC in general. I love it. And then you get Julian Lane on, fittingly enough, you get Julian Lane on the Ultimate Fighter season with Cody Garbrandt and TJ Dillashaw as the coaches. And, he gets asked about it and he's like, yeah, I don't know, it's whatever, dude. That whole thing went, my mom posted it. It's like, what? Your mom posted you acting like a drunk fucking retard because it went viral. Like, I just don't understand it. And, you know, he's gone on to take a fuck ton more damage, which probably contributed to him acting that way in the first place. You know, maybe some of these other ones. Honestly, dude, Brian the Eagle Ortega and Anthony on Paper Smith and even Yoel Romero, these ones make me laugh harder than Julian Lane, but I just feel like the longevity is crazy. Everybody knows it. If you say "let me bang, bro" to an MMA fan, they know exactly what you're talking about, 100%. And I feel like they don't even need to be that hardcore of a fan, okay? Now, maybe an honorable mention I will give that I could put in a part 2 if I get enough comments reminding me of other ones is Artem Lobov being the GOAT. I thought of that one, and then there was a few others, but either way, dude, let me know down in the comments below. Some ones that I missed out, some of your favorite fighter memes, all that good shit, right? Like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. I will see you at the next video. Bye-bye.